In a year that's been dominated by all-time great single-player games, it can be hard to pick and choose just a smaller group of them as the best of the best. Here, however, that's exactly what we're going to do. So join us as we go through what we feel are our favorite single-player games of the year, in no particular order. Pikmin 4. The wait for Pikmin 4 was a long one. So long, in fact, that there were some who had begun to wonder whether it would even ever release. It did release though, and boy was it worth the wait. Pikmin 4 is a glorious and unique game, combining real-time strategy and action-adventure elements to deliver a thoroughly addictive experience. A bevy of quality-of-life improvements and significant gameplay enhancements come together to deliver what's easily one of the best games in the Switch's library. Final Fantasy XVI. Like pretty much any fantasy game out there, Final Fantasy XVI has proved a bit polarizing for players, but according to us, this is an excellent game. With its darker, grittier fantasy world, it crafts an identity that we've seen very rarely in this genre, and within that world, it has some truly engaging gameplay mechanics. On top of that, you have the stylish, aggressive combat, which proves that Final Fantasy XVI can be just as great of an action game as it can be an RPG. Armored Core 6: Fires of Rubicon. After putting out a string of masterful Souls-like action RPGs over the course of nearly a decade and a half, in 2023, From Software pivoted back to the franchise that originally put it on the map, with Armored Core 6: Fires of Rubicon. And, as you'd expect from the developer at this point, it turned out to be a hell of a game, perhaps even the series' best ever. Its core gameplay loop might be a radically different one to what From fans have grown used to, but if what you're looking for is explosive action, spectacular bosses, expansive customization, and grueling difficulty, Armored Core 6 delivers that in spades. Dead Space. Speaking of excellent remakes of all-time classics, 2023 was also the year that saw EA and Motive Studio bringing back the original Dead Space in glorious fashion. As a remake, Dead Space is a fairly conservative one, but really it makes the exact right amount and kind of changes it needed to improve upon what was already a great game. From zero load times to its one-shot camera, from a breathtaking visual upgrade to the addition of new optional content, from Isaac Clarke being voiced to stronger connections to future installments, Dead Space does pretty much everything right in terms of remaking a beloved classic. Alan Wake 2. 2023 was a stellar year for survival horror games, as evidenced by some of the games we've spoken of here already, but there is, of course, another notable one that also deserves all the praise in the world. After nearly a decade and a half of trying, Remedy Entertainment finally managed to release Alan Wake 2, and to say that it was worth the wait would be putting it mildly. Very rarely do we see the kind of bold ambition and unbridled creativity that Alan Wake 2 so proudly exhibits. And the fact that it accomplishes that while also being a legitimately well-designed survival horror game makes it that much more of an impressive and unforgettable experience. Marvel's Spider-Man 2. Insomniac has taken to the Spider-Man universe like a duck to water, and with Marvel's Spider-Man 2, the developer once again outdid itself in nearly every way possible. With two unique spider heroes to play as, the sequel delivers twice the fun, endowing both Peter and Miles with explosive abilities that make combat an absolute blast. Meanwhile, the web-swinging mechanics take a radical step forward as well, not only thanks to the addition of the web wings, but also the sharp increase in the speed at which you move through the city. And when you throw additional elements like Venom, Kraven the Hunter, and a great setting into that already delicious pot, you get what's easily one of 2023's standout releases. Cyberpunk 2077: Phantom Liberty. Cyberpunk 2077's redemption arc has been incredible to witness, and nothing exemplifies the game's extreme turnaround better than Phantom Liberty, which in many ways is exactly the sort of game many of us were hoping Cyberpunk 2077 itself would be when it first launched back in 2020. A vibrant and meticulously crafted setting, consistently thrilling combat and stealth mechanics, memorable moments which elevate an already excellent setting to even greater heights, Phantom Liberty hits in all the ways it should have hit and then some. Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Super Mario Bros. Wonder's gleefully bizarre Wonder Seed mechanic and the dumbfounding creativity it leads to, combined with ingenious level design and a smattering of trademark Mario charm, to deliver a game that, in spite of being a side-scroller, manages to reach the heights that you would ordinarily expect from a flagship 3D Mario platformer. HiFi Rush. None of us had a colorful rhythm-based action game from the makers of The Evil Within on our 2023 radar, but not only was that exactly what we got in the first month of the year, HiFi Rush also turned out to be one of 2023's brightest gems. It's a game that anybody with an Xbox or a PC absolutely needs to experience. Its rhythm-based action is as fun as it is stylish. Its music and audio design consistently hit the highest of highs. The visual style and animations are absolutely gorgeous, and the story and the cast of characters are, surprisingly enough, also one of the game's biggest strengths. 12 months ago, we couldn't have known HiFi Rush would be in the game it turned out to be, but now it's hard to imagine the Xbox Series X and S library without it. Starfield. Whether or not Starfield is able to replicate the best of the best that Fallout and The Elder Scrolls have had to offer over the years might be up for some debate. But viewed on its own merits, this is a game that's brimming with things that we couldn't help but fall head over heels in love with. An endless stream of compelling quests, a massive galaxy brimming with captivating lore and world building, addictive systems in the form of ship and outpost building, combat that easily surpasses anything BGS has ever put out in the past, rewarding and layered progression mechanics. We could simply talk for hours about all the things that we love about Starfield. Lies of P. Over the course of the last decade or so, many studios whose name isn't From Software have tried to do what From Software has done with the Souls-like subgenre, but very few of them, if any, have managed to do it as well or as effectively as NeoWiz did with Lies of P in 2023. Combining its Pinocchio trappings with the gothic aesthetic of Bloodborne and the structure and mechanics of the Souls-like genre as a whole, Lies of P creates an unforgettable experience that may very well be one of 2023's biggest surprise hits, in that it manages to surpass even the lofty expectations so many had for it in the lead-up to its release. Horizon Forbidden West: Burning Shores. Burning Shores is a paid expansion for Guerrilla Games' Horizon Forbidden West. At the request of Silence, Aloy ventures to the ruins of Los Angeles to investigate a new threat. On top of providing a new story and quests, Aloy gets some new skills, like the ability to grapple on downed machines for a stylish melee attack. A new settlement, Fleet's End, is also available with new side quests to clear. You'll also discover new machines like the Water Wing, which can fly and dive underwater. Aloy also contends with reactivated Horus, aka Metal Devil. Such is the scale of some fights that the PS5's processing power and memory are mandatory. RoboCop Rogue City. Combat, as you would expect, is brutal and violent, and RoboCop himself has, appropriately enough, been described as a walking tank. He has slow and heavy movements, and is able to soak up incredible amounts of damage. RoboCop can also use crunching melee attacks and also has a scanning ability, using which he can instantly pinpoint enemies in the environment. Meanwhile, outside of combat, players will be able to engage with a variety of side quests, many of which will be tied to investigative objectives that will see you looking for clues at crime scenes and making arrests. Players will also be able to listen in on conversations between NPCs to pick up new clues, or occasionally even open up new side objectives. Dead Island 2. Dead Island 2 isn't open world like the first game. Its levels are linear as you hack and slash zombies, find new weapons, modify them, and slay more zombies. There are side quests to discover, collectibles to collect, and apex zombies to conquer, but that's the entire gameplay loop. Fortunately, the new flesh system allows for some incredibly visceral feedback. Sledgehammers crush zombie limbs and skulls, blades dismember limbs, and more. Also, after being revealed as immune to the virus, the player can use the new Fury mode to unleash havoc. Oxenfree 2 Lost Signals. Oxenfree 2's story takes place 5 years later, with Riley Poverly returning to her hometown in Kamina, as it suffers from odd electromagnetic interference. After helping set up some transmitters to gain more data, supernatural occurrences occur once more. Like its predecessor, conversations occur in real time. Depending on your choices, which include saying nothing, you can alter the course of events and relationships. There's also a new walkie-talkie allowing you to chat with others not in the immediate vicinity. Star Wars Jedi Survivor. It's a shame that so much of the discourse around Star Wars Jedi Survivor was about the technical issues that it launched with, which persisted for several months afterward. Because though it certainly did have problems in that arena, it was, ultimately, an excellent game. Jedi Survivor improves upon its predecessor in every way possible. Combat is improved thanks to the addition of lightsaber stances and a larger variety of enemies. Exploration is improved by the game's blending of platforming design, while traversal is improved by the addition of several new movement abilities and force powers. To top it all off, Jedi Survivor also tells a captivating story, while also delivering some of the best combat mechanics we've seen in a game in quite some time. RE4 Remake. In the game, instead of conserving ammo like in other survival horror games, players are encouraged to confront foes head-on, scoring headshots and melee hits. The game packs in with weapons like the bolt thrower and short side quests, along with enemies who attack relentlessly on sight. Baldurs Gate 3. Baldurs Gate 3 generated a fair bit of buzz prior to its launch, thanks in no small part to its promising early access period. Even so, no one could have predicted that it would be such a mega hit. Very rarely do you see a video game capturing the controller chaos and unrivaled freedom of a D&D experience as well as Baldurs Gate 3 does. Whether that's with its world design, its bevy of excellently designed quests, its freeform combat, or its impactful and ever-present choice and consequence mechanics. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom builds on the masterful bones of many open-world games before it to deliver an adventure that's mind-bogglingly massive, complex, addictive, and epic. With a new set of abilities, incredible mechanics, and a bevy of content that can be best described as all killer, no filler, Tears of the Kingdom is easily one of the best games ever made, just like its predecessor was. So, what are your thoughts on this? Go ahead and share them in the comments below. And if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and enable all notifications by clicking the bell icon to get new video updates. We upload every day and would really appreciate your support. Thanks for watching.